The waitress was enduring a truly dreadful morning when an unexpected stumble sent hot coffee cascading over a stranger, impeccably dressed in an expensive suit. A hushed silence descended upon the café, punctuated only by the bodyguard's decisive stride forward. Unbeknownst to her, she had just doused the city's most formidable mafia boss. What Mia couldn't grasp was that he had spent his entire life yearning for someone courageous enough to genuinely connect with him, and now he harbored no intention of ever letting her go. Mia's hands quivered as she expertly balanced a tray laden with steaming lattes, her heart thrumming against her ribs like a bird trapped within a cage. Through the expansive floor-to-ceiling windows of grind coffee, she spotted him, Jake, her newly engaged fiancé, approaching the entrance accompanied by his intended. The woman embodied everything Mia was not. Poised, self-assured, and draped in a coat that undoubtedly exceeded Mia's entire monthly rent. Breathe, she silently instructed herself. Just breathe. Yet the very act of breathing felt unattainable as Jake's laughter reverberated through the cafe's bustling morning air. It was the same laugh that once evoked a delightful flutter in her stomach. Now, it twisted within her like a sharpened blade. 6 months had passed since he declared her insufficiently ambitious for his demanding law firm lifestyle, since he packed his belongings, leaving her scrambling to cover the rent for their shared apartment. The cafe door chimed its familiar welcome as they stepped inside, Jake's hand possessively resting on the small of his fiancé's back. Mia instinctively lowered her head, fervently hoping they wouldn't notice her, wouldn't choose a table in her section, but fortune had never been her ally. "Mia?" Jake's voice sliced through the coffee shop's cheerful hum like a sudden cut. "Mia, is that really you?" "No, no, no." Panic surged through her veins, a freezing torrent. Her fingers trembled against the ceramic handles of the mugs. She forced herself to turn, plastering on the practiced artificial smile she had perfected over countless shifts dealing with demanding customers. "Oh, hi, Jake." Her voice sounded strained, even to her own ears. Jake's fiancée, what was her name? Sarah or Stephanie? Scrutinized Mia with the calculating gaze women reserve for their rivals. Her ring, a diamond so colossal it seemed to mock every aspiration Mia had ever dared to entertain, glittered in the morning light. "You look," Jake began, his eyes briefly scanning her coffee-stained apron and weary face. "Well," liar, Mia knew precisely how she appeared. Dark circles beneath her eyes from working double shifts, hair pulled into a haphazard bun because she had overslept yet again, exhibiting the kind of profound exhaustion that no amount of concealer could ever mask. "Actually," the fiancé interjected, her voice dripping with artificial sweetness, "we'll take that table by the window. I assume you're our waitress." The dismissive tone ignited a flush in Mia's cheeks. She nodded silently, quickly turning away before either of them could glimpse the tears welling in her eyes. The tray in her hands now felt impossibly heavy, her legs unsteady as she navigated the crowded cafe. "Just deliver these drinks," she pleaded with herself. "Then you can retreat to the back room and dissolve into tears, like the pathetic wreck you are." But as she rounded the corner near table 12, her vision still blurred with unshed tears, she failed to see the man rising from his seat. She didn't notice the expensive Italian leather shoes, nor the way conversations subtly hushed in his presence. All she registered was a formidable wall of muscle, and the sickening sensation of hot coffee erupting across luxurious fabric. Time froze. The cafe descended into a silence so absolute that Mia could distinctly hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. She looked up and up into the darkest eyes she had ever encountered. The man loomed over her, easily 6 feet 3 inches tall, with jet black hair and a face sculpted as if for a Renaissance masterpiece. But it wasn't his devastating good looks that sent a chill down her spine. It was the way everyone in the cafe had become motionless, like prey animals sensing a predator. Coffee dripped from his charcoal suit, a suit that likely cost more than her car. The liquid had splattered across his pristine white shirt, staining it brown. Yet the man remained still, unspoken. He simply gazed at her with those midnight eyes as 4 men in identical black suits stepped forward, moving with synchronized precision like shadows. "Sir," one of them rasped, his voice rough as gravel, "want us to handle this?" The ominous implication behind the word handle made Mia's stomach churn. She opened her mouth to apologize, to plead, to do anything that might prevent these terrifying men from executing whatever they intended. But no sound emerged. The stranger raised a single hand, a simple gesture that brought his men to an immediate halt, and slowly began to brush coffee from his jacket. His movements were deliberate, controlled, like a cat contemplating its prey before the final strike. Then he smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. It was sharp and perilous, evoking images of sharks circling in murky waters. "No one touches me and lives," he declared, his voice low and smooth as aged whiskey. The words resonated through the silent cafe like a death sentence. "Except you." A faint whisper rippled through the coffee shop, barely audible but laden with terror. "Dante Russo!" Mia's knees nearly buckled. Even she recognized that name. Everyone in the city knew that name, usually whispered behind closed doors or emblazoned in newspaper headlines detailing unsolved murders and missing persons. Dante Russo, the heir to the most feared crime family on the East Coast, a man capable of making people vanish with a mere phone call, and she had just doused him with an entire latte. Dante advanced, coming so close that she could detect the scent of his cologne, something expensive and dark that made her feel lightheaded. His gaze never left her face, studying her as if she were an enigma he was determined to unravel. "What's your name?" he inquired. "Mia." The word escaped as a barely audible whisper. "Mia," he repeated, tasting it as if it were a fine wine, rolling it around on his tongue. A pretty name for a pretty girl who just ruined a $5,000 suit. $5,000. Mia's entire world reeled. She only earned that much in 2 months, if she was fortunate. "I'm so sorry," she finally managed, her voice cracking. "I can pay for the cleaning. I can." "Can you?" His head tilted slightly, a predatory amusement dancing in his dark eyes. "Do you have $5,000, Mia?" The question hung in the air like a noose, its answer obvious to them both. Around them, the cafe remained frozen, customers and staff alike, too terrified to stir. In the corner, Mia spied Jake and his fiancée huddled